Alright, hi everyone. So I'm doing this video so I can cover up the programming lesson of grade 11. I'm not gonna do the entire lesson or something like that. I'm just gonna focus on the flowchart, pseudocode and the Pascals, which is extremely necessary for all levels. In today's video, what we are gonna focus on is the principles and the laws that is coming under pseudocodes and Pascal flowcharts and so on. And also before that, just know that there are three control structures in an algorithm, which is simply selection, sequence, and repetition. And if you don't understand what I said so far, that's totally fine. We will go in detail about everything that I said so far in the video. So let's go to the video. First, we have selection. Selection means choosing what to do based on a given condition. And then you have sequence, which means you're going to carry the same instructions one after the other. Just imagine you're going to brush your teeth and then wash your face. And then you have repetition. Repetition means you're going to carry out the same instruction multiple times until a given condition is met. Just imagine you're boiling water to make tea. You need to boil it until a specific temperature is reached. So now that we know what are the control structures of algorithm is, let's go into flowchart and then all the way to pseudocodes and then to Pascals. Alright, so the first symbol that you can see here is used to represent the start and ending in a flowchart, and the second symbol is used to represent all inputs and outputs in a flowchart. And the third symbol is used to represent all the or to write down all the processes, and the fourth one for decisions. And also you can see the flow directions and then the connectors. I don't have to say this stuff because you can see and understand. Okay guys, so now that we have a brief idea about the flowcharts and stuff, let's just go to know about the instructions or the rules, maybe the principles about the Pascals, the pseudo, and the operators, and what are reserved words and what are variables. Let's just get a brief idea about each and everything of it. And if you do have questions, I will maybe tag my email. You can drop a text, you can drop an email and ask me anytime. Even though this video will be old for 2 years or some, I will still reply. Or maybe just drop a comment, I will reply you anyway. So yeah. Alright guys, so these are the principles of a pseudocode, whereas you say begin to indicate a beginning, end to indicate the end, and so on. You need to read this exact part in your book in order to get an idea about the pseudocode writings. And you can see this if, then, else, and if. These are used in the selections. And for, and then there will be some codes going on, and then do, and this you can see that they are like repetitions, and that means that they are being used in the repetition section. Even though we are not gonna go in detail with them right now, we will talk about them in that exact sections. So guys, honestly in the textbook it's kind of messed up. So the first thing that you need to learn is about the variables in order to understand the whole Pascal thing. So what exactly is a variable? A variable is like a container or a box where you're gonna store data while a program is running so that you can use the data at a certain point in the program, and when you use it the program know that this is what is being addressed. And the variables are found at the beginning of a program where you're gonna specifically write down what the variables are so that the program understands when you're gonna use it. A variable is like an introduction for certain words. So imagine now you are attending a party or something like that. So previously you have already registered your data, your age and everything like that. So now that is a variable, and whenever you show up you already carry that data. So the same way, when you enter a variable at the beginning of the program and you address it somewhere in the programming, the program knows that this is being addressed. And also the identifiers which do not change their values in a program is called a constant. So in Pascal it's called const, which is const. And this is like basically when any value is not being changed. So like in exam the maximum is 100, so we're gonna put const as 100. And now guys, I want you to focus very clearly. So now we have data types. You can say that the data types are as integers, real, boolean, char, and string, and pay your focus on what a data type and a variable is. So now we see that integer is a data type. So integers are data types, and the variable is number, or maybe sum, or maybe character, or maybe and so on. So whereas integer means a type, number, sum, average are ways or variable that the numbers can stand as. And for characters, like any character in the keyboard, we can use the data type as char, and the variable is character. Okay, so what are reserved words? They are like the verbs of a computer. When they are used in a program, the computer knows exactly what to do. So if you say begin, then the computer know, okay, I need to begin the program. If you say var, which is the short form of variable, the computer knows, okay, I'm being commanded to perform a variable. And an important reserved word that you need to use in your O levels is mod. What is mod? Mod is basically the remainder after removing a certain amount of numbers from the given number. When the program say 5 mod 2, that equals to 1. Why? Because there are two 2's in 5 and the remainder is 1. So the mod is giving out the remainder when the amount of numbers which is in the right side is being taken out from the number in the left side. So there are two 2's in 5, so the remainder is 1. Alright, so in identifiers it says reserved words in Pascal cannot be used as identifier name. In any programming language, reserved words cannot be used as identifiers. So in this example that you can see, now you already know what the reserved word is. What is it? Yes, exactly, the var. And now we also know that integer is a data type. So if so, then what is year? Exactly. So now here, year is the variable identifier. What is a variable identifier? It identifies the variable. It gives a meaning to the variable. We can have many variable identifiers as marks, total, averages, and so on. And therefore, like the examples given here, begin, end, which are the reserved words, cannot be used at the variables. Because why? The computer will identify them as verbs or like commands or like the actions that are being commanded by the user to perform. So it will tend to perform beginning in the place of a variable, and should start with the English letter is obvious. After the first letter of the identifier, letters A to Z or numbers 0 to 9 and underscore can be used, which means like if you're gonna have a variable of student name, you can't write it all together because that's gonna be a mess. So you can join it as putting an underscore in between the words. And again, the last point should come after this. There should not be any space between words should come there. That means like if you're gonna enter student space name, that's gonna be wrong. You can't do that. You need to use an underscore. And the operators part is read and understandable, but let's just go into it. Okay, then algebra operators are given here, but we have already talked about what mod is. So mod is basically the remainder, so 20 mod 6 is 2, as how there's 6, 12 and 18, and then there's a remainder of 2. And div, obviously it's just division, where you divide 20 by 6 and then you get it as 3. And make sure every time you write div and mod, they are in block capital, aka capital letters. And comparison operators, which is simple, but the thing that you have to focus here is that you can't use the same symbols that you use in maths because it's different when it come to computers. So this is the right way and this is the wrong way. Actually, it's not about being right or wrong, it's just you don't find those symbols in the keyboard. So for convenience, you just use that. And for logical operators, there are three logical operators, which are the gates and or not. So that actually you need to study under the logic gates because that's the same thing that's been applied here. For example, we have the AND operator here. You know that when both the inputs are true, the output will be true in the AND operator or in the AND gate. So it says rainfall and then is greater than 56 and so on. There are some examples going on here. And see the example number 3 where it is a true and a false output, therefore the output is a false. So it's basically the same of the gates. So we have the O operator, whereas if at least one input is true, then the output is true. And you can see the example number 2 where there's an output of true and false, therefore the output is true. And we have the NOT operator where the opposite of the input is being displayed. For example, if the input is false, then the output would be true. And same as in maths, like BODMAS, we have this operator procedure where we have to follow the specific order in order to get the correct outputs. So like we saw before, we have 5 plus 14 mod 4. So we need to do the mod part first, whereas we are going to get a remainder of 2 and then 5 plus 2, 7 and so on. And this right here is like a diagram showing all of the components in a Pascal programming, whereas you can see that y is been like declaring the variables and so on. Everything is being indicated. And so guys, always remember that read is an input. It always indicates an input, and write always indicates an output. So like right here, it says write welcome Pascal programming. And when you compile this and run, it will indicate an output as welcome Pascal programming. And when it says write learn, that means it's going to be written in a line. That is what is meant by ln. If you don't write ln, it's going to come one under the other. And so it says write learn enter first number. So enter first number will be displayed and then read num1. So the first number, which is an input, should be text or typed here. And now you can say that num1 is a variable, so this num1 will be stored in the variables. So now when it says total equals num1 plus num2, now the computer knows, now the program knows that num1 has a certain value which is being entered by you. So now it says program input and output are reserved words, of course we know. And then it says addNum is an identifier. This is the name of the program. It is not essential to indicate input output within brackets with the program name. What they're trying to emphasize is that they have mentioned these things in the brackets and all just for our reference, like in the above example. Like right here they have mentioned as input and output. You don't have to write that, it's just for reference. And it is said that readlearn functions words are used for inputs. Data is input to num1 variable through read in one. And then data is input from readlearn from a new row. You know what guys, the read and write learn thing I've already explained, so you should definitely try it out by going back to the example and comparing with whatever the things that they said on the textbook, comparing what they mean and all. So friends, I just keep the write learn write read learn read part, and then I'm here with the semicolon stuff. So something very important that you need to be considerate about is having a semicolon at the end of each and every statement that you're going to code, except for certain criterias, as when you're going to write the if situations and stuff. Except for those exceptions, you need to have semicolons or else bug. And you need to indicate a colon and equal mark when you're going to write like total equals. When you're going to write equals, you need to use a colon and a equal mark to indicate as in like the variables you're going to add num1 plus num2. So it's kind of hard to explain because we haven't done any of the exercises yet. But when we start to do the exercises, you will like get okay, so this is what she was talking about. And also guys, good news, because this is it, and the rest of the things that we're going to learn will be in a different video, which is going to be maybe like, I don't know, 1 hour long. So stay tuned and don't be boring though. I will add all the ways how a bug is being notified by a computer and so on. We will do all the conversions and all of that, lot of paperwork. So yeah. So guys, once again, thank you for watching the video, and I will be posting about the conversions. I promise I'm gonna do it, okay? I'm gonna post about the conversions from flowchart to pseudocodes and Pascal and so on. It's gonna be amazing. So stay tuned and do watch it, and do watch this from the beginning to the end so that you can actually get a good understanding before you run into the coding. So thank you for watching. Stay safe.